Y'all, I was going through my encyclopedia. This is my encyclopedia from the 1890s. I have the whole set of the Chambers encyclopedias. I have a couple sets of different times, different brands. But I was going through looking for Apotheca because somebody asked me if it was in here. By the way, I do have a Bible coming from 1822 that has the Apotheca verses in it. Anyways, as I'm looking through, I noticed that it says Atlantis. Not only that, but y'all, there are so many things in this book. In all of them, there's 10 books, and everything, like, there's just so much shit that they never taught us about. It's absolutely insane. So let's go ahead and see what it says about Atlantis. According to ancient myth or tradition, the name of a vast island in the Atlantic Ocean. It is first mentioned by Plato in the Timaeus and the Critias. An Egyptian priest is said to have told Solon of its existence, lying off the Pillars of Hercules in the ocean and larger than Libya and Asia Minor together. In consequence of an earthquake, it is said to have been engulfed by the waves 9,000 years before his time. At the close of a long contest which its inhabitants maintained against the Athenians, Plato says that shoals of sand mark the site of the submerged island. Some have thought that the Canary Isles are the remains of the sunken island. Burchard, in his treatise De Orb Novo Non Novo, Altdorf 1685, maintained that Phoenician or Carthaginian trading ships driven by storm had reached the America coast and had returned thence, bringing with them marvelous tales of the New World, which proved the basis of the widespread belief in Atlantis. It is remarkable that recent paleontological researches should have established the fact that there having really existed an Atlantis in tertiary times. Wow. The tertiary shells of the United States are identical with a whole series of fossils in the same beds of France. Also, the tertiary vertebrate animals in France have their analogues either in fossil creatures or in living species in America. On this account, geologists are justified in concluding that in the tertiary epoch and land connection existed between the two continents. The fossil flora of the two continents gives like results. Finally, Colcomb and Vernelli have collected evidence to show that there actually did exist an enormous island to the west of Spain, whose rivers form the vast marshy and delta deposits of the tertiary period in Spain. This is, however, a pure coincidence. It is impossible to suppose any tradition existed of such an island or land. It must be remembered that the whole Celtic family held to a belief in the land of the dead being situated beyond the Western Sea, which they called Glacinus or Avalon, and of which they told wondrous tales. Such stories may have reached the Greeks, and indeed we know they did, and were taken up by them and adopted into their mythology. They called this imaginary land in the far ocean the Hesperides, or Isles of the Blessed. There can be little doubt that Plato's Atlantis is but another name for the same imaginary land, which is also spoken of on hearsay by Pliny, Diodorus, and Oranobius. In Lucian's masterpiece of wit and satire, The True History, the first place reached by the travelers is an island 80 days' sail westward of the Pillars of Hercules. The new Atlantis of Bacon's imagination was an austral rather than a western continent, and the curious might recognize in it the modern Australia. The first stage of the journey to Campanella's City of the Sun was a great southern continent, but the want of exploration under the Antarctic Circle has left this still a mere imagination. See Antilles, Avalon, Brendan. Wow. So what should we look up next?